Hi there, my name's Ben, and today I'm going to be speaking to you about why I write and why you should too. So, much like my last video, where I provided 3 reasons why I personally read every day and offered them as suggestions as to why you should too, along with the bonus 4th one. This video will follow the similar format. So, a little bit of prefacing about writing in general. I think that writing is, of course, it's an underappreciated art in the sense that it's the thing that we probably do more than we realize that we do. We're composing texts and emails. We're writing down, little notes for ourselves when we're working. There's an unbelievable amount of writing that we're actually doing without even realizing that we're doing it. So I make a conscious effort to write. I don't write every day, but I try to do it as often as I can. More so because, again, like reading, it's one of those components of language that's really, really important, and that I really just want to master the English language and to be as proficient in it as possible. So here are 3 reasons why I do it. So number 1, it provides me with a creative outlet. It provides me with this space where I can flex my linguistic muscles and I can create new word combinations to refine either business communications, to help my friends with a project that they're working on, or even to let's say if there's a marketing thing, I like to see, okay, what's a better type of word selection that we can go for to really help to communicate the idea, or just in general to tell a story. I also write for fun, and I think that this is, again, going back to my last video on creativity, is that there is that sense of wonder, that sense of pride that comes from creating something. And for me, writing is the easiest way that I know how to do it. It does provide that transcendence from the physical realm that is probably a meme now because I talk about it so much. But it does, for me, writing it provides me with more of that creative outlet rather than that experiential outlet, if that makes sense. I find I experience more when I'm reading rather than when I'm writing, but when I'm writing, I'm just, the creative juices keep going, and I end up looking back at it and reading it and sort of give yourself a pat on the back. I'm like, yeah, I'm actually I'm really satisfied with this, and that's a great feeling to have. Second reason why I write is because it's challenging, and it helps me to constantly improve the way that I communicate, not just how I communicate, but the way that I transfer my thoughts. So I would say that writing actually helps me to improve my speaking, just like reading does. But more than that, let's say if I'm writing a business email, or if I'm speaking, or if I'm writing a text message to, a friend or my family or whatever, I think it really does, and we're speaking about, a really an important topic. I find writing helps me to be able to pick those concepts that are floating around in the ether of my mind, and coupled with my knowledge of vocabulary and grammar and all of that, I can put it together and create something that I can create a vehicle, a bridge between those two, between my mind and the other person's mind, that I can accurately express what I'm trying to express. And writing, again, is very much a practice makes perfect type deal when it comes to that stuff. You just have to constantly keep writing and keep writing and keep writing in order to get it done. So that was number 2. The third one, I would say, my third reason is a little bit more personal, I would say. Sometimes it's the only way that I can properly express a thought that I have. I am very much of a speaker. I do enjoy speaking about a variety of different topics. Anybody who knows me knows that I can talk incessantly, and it's almost like, there you go, mute you at times. I'm trying to get better with it. But sometimes there really is no substitute for a good old pen and paper and writing your thoughts out. Just complete stream of consciousness, get the words out on the paper or onto the page if you're using a computer. And then that way, when you read it back and you read it out loud, I find it helps me to almost say, okay, well, there's a way that I can improve that. And then that's where what I like to call that surgery happens, where you're replacing one word, you're trying to put another one in there, and you're thinking, that's probably not going to work. And then you end up building on the skeleton of what you created, of what you wrote, and then you almost fully flesh out that idea in writing. And I think for me, at times, it helps me to fully flesh out an idea more so than speaking about it would. Because when I'm speaking, usually I'm speaking with another person, it's on the fly. I don't really have time to make an edit, and it's almost like you have to be like Theseus in the Minotaur. You have to have that ball of yarn to almost like, okay, like, let me not lose this thread when I'm speaking. So then that way I might have to loop back around to it, or walk back what I said, or defend what I said, so on and so forth. Whereas when I'm writing, I have time, and I have time to properly choose the right words in order to properly express my opinion. So those are the three main reasons why I write. I would sort of say, I'm not going to give like a bonus fourth reason, but I would sort of I want to give you guys a couple of tips, these little exercises that I do in order to help writing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, like something that you do every day. It's not something I do every day. It's something I do, perhaps like once or twice a week to help to flex that linguistic muscle and to help it to improve. So first one that I do, and I actually learned this in 8th grade, actually, when I was living abroad, and I set myself a challenge. I say, okay, I have to tell a story in 50 words. I only allow myself 50 words, and I have to, this story, this vignette has to make sense. I can't go over it. Now, obviously, you can start as, okay, I'm giving myself 200 words maximum, or even better, I have to exactly hit 200 words. And then you just go. You write it, read it over, and think, you know what? That's good, but I can improve it. Or, let's say it ends up being 220 words. You're thinking, okay, now that's the fun part for me, where you almost have to think, okay, what's the most important? What do I have to keep? And what can I get rid of? What fat can I trim and discard? So tip number 1, set yourself a goal that you have to tell a story within a set number of words, anywhere between 50 to 200. Do that once or twice a week. And yeah, I would say that will definitely help you with that. If there's any noise in the background, I apologize. There's still people doing work out here. It seems they're doing construction all the time around here. The second thing that I like to do as well is, and this is going to be a little bit of a cop-out, but I do like to read as well. And I think that reading something, depending on the type of writing that you're doing, let's say if you are more so, if you're trying to get help for like your work and you're a copywriter, I would definitely say like go online, find like a couple of solid blogs that actually deal with writing itself, and read those. And that's something that I've done in the past where, I'm thinking, okay, I need to take a little bit more, I need a little bit more expertise in this field. I am a very decent creative writer, but when it comes to more so business writing, I may need a little bit more help. Right. I looked up a couple of, I did my research, went and scoured the internet for a couple of blogs, a couple of newsletters as well, and got a couple of print books as well. So reading definitely helps, especially where they can teach you different techniques and so on and so forth. Now, the third tip that I'll give you as well is that if you have a thought that you don't want to lose, immediately put it down on paper and write it out. Just stream of consciousness, whatever. It doesn't have to be pretty, but just keep going. Just write until you can't write anymore, flesh it all out, and keep it. Then look back at it and start to edit it. And that will sort of help you to say, okay, like I've quite literally word vomited on the page. Now it's time for me to sort of clean it up and make it look nice before, parents get home and they find out that I've, puked all over their rug. But why I think that helps as well is because everyone has to start somewhere, and everyone has to almost, you need to be in charge of refining your own style, because the thing is, everybody has a different voice when they write. I have a different voice when I'm writing to, let's say, Dan Coe or Austin Kleon or all of these, or a couple of other people, right? And you have your own voice too. And so it's important for you to take onus to refine that voice and to figure out exactly, okay, what kind of voice do I want to have as a writer? Do I want to be more of a creative? Do I want to be more analytical, nonfiction type deal? Do I want to, I should say more artistic rather than creative? Do I want to be, do I want to have a writing style that has a lot of linguistic flourishes, that use, very elegant and fancy words, or do I want to go for a very pragmatic, very minimalist style voice? Both of those have their merits. So it's really, really important to, once you have that stream of consciousness on the page, and that way you edit it and you say, okay, what kind of voice do I want my writing to have? What voice do I want to write it? And I think that's the best, those are the best 3 tips that I can give you anyway. And I think we'll leave it at that. So the question is, do you write? If so, what do you write? What do you like to write? Do you like to write little notes? Do you like to write nonfiction? Do you like to write short stories? Do you like to write poetry? If you'd like to share them, please do. I'd love to get an opportunity to read them. If you found this useful, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.